Same ingredients can lead to completely different internal responses, not because the food changes, but because something else does. In the next few minutes, based on patterns seen across population studies, you will see why small differences in cooking can shift how your body processes what you eat. Two meals can look similar, even feel similar on the plate. But what happens before and during cooking changes how they behave once they enter your body. Health isn't determined by a single perfect meal, but by repeated cooking patterns over time. At VitalCook, we look at everyday habits using simple cooking guidance to understand how your daily choices shape what happens inside your body. Most people think the impact of food starts once we swallow it. But in reality, it starts right from the beginning, right from when you start preparing the food. Every step you take in the preparation, maybe you are marinating it, or you are soaking something, or chopped something and let it sit, or even once you cooked it, you let it rest for 5 minutes. Each of these tiny steps makes an impact on how the food behaves in your digestive system. On its own, each of these steps seems very insignificant, and that's why we tend to ignore them. However, in reality, each of these steps has a massive impact in your body. Inside your gut, there is an ecosystem of trillions of microbes, and they respond to what you do to your food during the preparation. They respond to the structure of the food, how the food is transformed by heat, the variety of inputs over time, and the consistency of the inputs. And altogether, that makes a significant impact on your overall health. Because this system doesn't stay in your gut, it produces chemical signals and travel through your bloodstream. Signals that influence how your body handles sugar, how your immune system reacts, and even how your gut lining protects you from what shouldn't pass through. When this system is balanced, it acts like a support layer. When it's disrupted, those same signals can shift in the wrong direction. And that's where the same starting point begins to show up as different outcomes. Different symptoms, same underlying system. So the question isn't actually what you eat, but what reaches this system, and how you cook shapes that. When cooking becomes overly standardized or overly processed, food structure is often already broken down before it reaches you. This reduces the need for your body and your microbes to do the work. Food isn't just nutrients, it's structure. A raw carrot holds its nutrients inside tiny firm cells, so your body has to work to break them open. But when you cook it, those walls soften and release what's inside much faster, which means your body absorbs more earlier, and your gut microbes receive something very different later. In practice, that means combining food textures. Pair soft cooked foods with something minimally processed. For example, some softly cooked vegetables with a crunchy raw salad on the side, or some mashed potatoes with some beans. Once certain compound reaches your gut intact, they fuel for a different process entirely. When meals are low in fiber or heavily refined, there's less material reaching your gut microbes, and that limits the variety of what they can break down and ferment. Certain fibers pass through digestion and are fermented by gut microbes. This process produces short-chain fatty acids, compounds linked to gut barrier function and metabolic signaling. Practically, that means including fiber-rich ingredients regularly, legumes, whole grains, vegetables, not as a one-off, but as a constant pattern. And more the consistent the input is, the more the ecosystem adapts around it. Modern convenience often leads to repetition. Same meals, same ingredients, same preparation methods. Dietary diversity is associated with greater microbial diversity. Different plant foods introduce different fibers and polyphenols, which support a broader range of microbial species. A simple way to achieve this is rotation. Changing even a few ingredients across the week introduces new inputs to the system, and that variation over time matters more than a single meal. The challenge isn't knowledge, it's consistency. Decision fatigue and convenience culture often push repeated reliance on the easiest option. Microbial populations adapt to what they are consistently exposed to. Repeated dietary patterns can reinforce certain microbial profiles, beneficial or otherwise. Rather than aiming for perfection, focus on repeatable habits. You don't need to go vegetarian all out. Just introduce one more vegetable, one new source of fiber, or one plant-based component in each of your meals. That is more sustainable and repeatable. Over time, those small repetitions become the dominant signal that your gut responds to. So it's not just cooking, it's a repeated input to the living system over time. The most powerful shift is not a perfect meal. It's those tiny practices, the patterns that you return to again and again. Tell us about one of the tiny habits that you perform in your kitchen every day, almost on autopilot. Do you think it's helping you or it might be hurting you? Right now, your gut microbes are already responding to what you ate last. But what they do next doesn't just stay in your gut. It shows up in ways most people don't connect until much later. And it often comes down to patterns you don't think to look for. We'll follow one of those patterns next. If you want to see where it actually leads, follow along with VitalCook.